Chosen one, anchor your spirit to what I am about to say right now. That ache you have been carrying, the one sitting right behind your sternum, the one you cannot explain to anyone because you do not fully understand it yourself. I need you to let it surface for just a moment. Do not push it down. Let it come up, because what I am about to say is going to reframe everything you thought that ache meant. The enemy has been working overtime this week for one reason and one reason only. He sees her coming. It all shifts in the next 24 hours. The withholding ends. The silence ends. The season of being overlooked, underestimated, and handed less than what heaven assigned to your name, it ends. Not because the tide randomly turned. It ends because of what you have been doing in secret. The prayers nobody saw. The forgiveness you extended when you had every right to retaliate. The dignity you maintained when humiliation was being handed to you like it was your portion. Think back to that moment this week. Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe it was 3 days ago when you wanted to demand what was yours. When you wanted to make noise, force the door open, call the person out, send the message. And you did not. You pulled back. You went quiet. You let God handle it instead of handling it yourself. You thought that was weakness. That was the moment everything changed. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not surface this video. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment written into your timeline before the foundations of the earth were laid. You are not scrolling. You are arriving. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the exact revelation of who this woman is and why God specifically designed her to carry what you have been denied. I am going to show you the moment in your own story where you unknowingly qualified yourself to receive what she brings. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that opens your hands wide enough to finally receive it. Do not click away. Your future self is on the other side of this message. If you leave now, you leave before the delivery arrives at your door. I know what the atmosphere has felt like for the last 72 hours. It has not just been quiet. It has been pressurized, like the world around you is holding its breath, like something enormous is waiting just behind a very thin wall. Maybe you have been moving through your days this week, feeling invisible, doing everything right, showing up fully, giving generously, and watching as the things you poured into came back empty. Or maybe you woke up at 3 in the morning this week and just lay there in the dark, running through the list of everything that has been withheld from you, the relationship, the provision, the recognition, the healing, and you ask God in that silence, why? Why you? Why still? Why not yet? You feel like you are standing at a table that was set for you, but someone else keeps eating from your plate. And in that place, the enemy has started whispering a very specific lie. He has been threading it through your thoughts so gently that it almost sounds like your own voice. He is telling you that the reason everything has been withheld is because of something fundamentally wrong with you. He is replaying that moment when you fell short, that moment when you were not generous enough, not faithful enough, not patient enough. He is pointing to your history and telling you that you forfeited the blessing, that the woman God intended to send in your direction turned a different way because you disqualified yourself. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Proverbs 18:16 says, "A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men." Listen to that promise. Your gift makes room, not your perfection, not your flawless record, not a clean history with no moments of failure. Your gift, what God placed inside you, makes the room. It opens the door. It summons the messenger. It draws toward you the very person heaven assigned to carry what you have been denied. The enemy has been lying to you. He told you the denial was a verdict. But it was never a verdict. It was a positioning. You were not being withheld from, you were being prepared for. The heaviness you have been feeling is not the weight of rejection, it is the weight of arrival. It is the pressure of something so significant moving toward your life that the atmosphere around you bent under its approach. You are not at the end of a story that did not work out. You are at the threshold of the one that does. That moment when you stayed silent, when you chose dignity over retaliation, when you released what you could not control, that was not a surrender. That was an invitation. You opened your hands. And what God is about to place in them through this woman he has sent is everything the enemy spent this entire season trying to convince you that you no longer deserved. You deserved it then. You deserve it now. And she is already on her way. Hit the like button if you feel in your spirit that this message found you at exactly the right moment. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the one thing you have been denied the longest? The thing you almost stopped believing was still coming for you. She didn't arrive with a crown on her head or a sign around her neck. She didn't announce herself. She walked in quietly, steadily, carrying something in her spirit that most people couldn't even name, but you felt it. You felt it the moment she entered your atmosphere. Something ancient in you recognized something divine in her. And what I need you to understand right now, before we go any further, is that recognition was not accidental. That feeling was not romantic fantasy. That was God completing a circuit he designed before either of you drew your first breath. Some messages don't just inform, they activate. If something stirred deep in your spirit just now, you may be ready to receive the Chosen One's blueprint. This sacred guide reveals the 8 divine patterns behind your calling, your suffering, and your destiny. It also comes with the full audiobook, so you can absorb it during prayer, rest, or quiet moments with God. And for those called to speak His truth, you'll also receive Activating Your Prophet Mantle, a powerful bonus ebook for those carrying a prophetic assignment. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now stay with me, because what I'm about to unfold is not a love story. It is a restoration story, and there is a significant difference between the two. Most people have been waiting for love. They have been scanning every room, every gathering, every season, looking for that one person who will make the ache stop, who will make the loneliness worth it, who will prove that they were not forgotten. And while that longing is not wrong, it is human, it is God-given. It is written into the very biology of how we were made. The problem is that love alone, unmoored from purpose, untethered from divine architecture, can lead you down a road that feels beautiful at the start and leaves you more empty than when you began. Love is not the destination, covenant is. And covenant requires far more than feelings. It requires formation. What God has been preparing is something far more precise than love. Love, on its own, can be misdirected. Love can be given to the wrong vessel at the wrong time and drain you completely. What heaven has been orchestrating for you is not just someone who loves you. It is someone who was built to carry what you carry, to understand what others dismissed, to see in you what the world tried to bury. That is not love alone. That is assignment. That is covenant. And covenant is something the enemy has worked overtime to make you believe was never yours to receive. Think about what it means to be built for something. A key is not just a piece of metal, it is shaped specifically with intention and precision for one particular lock. It does not matter how beautiful another key looks, how much it shines, how close it comes to fitting. If it was not crafted for your lock, it will not open what has been sealed. And what God has been doing in the years you thought you were simply waiting is He has been cutting the edges of the person coming toward you, filing down, shaping, perfecting until every ridge and groove aligns with the specific architecture of your soul. That is not accident. That is artistry. And the God who spoke galaxies into existence and numbered every hair on your head does not do anything accidentally. Here is the revelation that most people never get to see. The reason you were denied for so long was not because you were lacking. It was because what God had for you could not enter a life that was still cluttered with the counterfeit. Every relationship that ended, every door that closed, every season of solitude that felt like punishment, it was not rejection, it was refinement. It was God removing everything that would have competed with what He was bringing. You were not being passed over. You were being protected from receiving something good before you were ready for something divine. There is a difference between good and divine, and it is one of the most important distinctions you will ever learn to make. Good things can satisfy you temporarily. Good things can make noise and fill space and feel like answers. But divine things carry the weight of eternity. Divine things are connected to purpose. Divine things do not just make your life better, they make your life mean something. And you cannot always hold a divine thing in a vessel that is still oriented around simply feeling better. The vessel has to be transformed first. The container has to be expanded. And expansion, as you already know, is never comfortable. It involves stretching, and stretching always involves a degree of pain. That is what those empty seasons were. Not abandonment, expansion. God was not withholding from you, He was widening you. He was pressing you outward at the seams of your own capacity, so that when what He designed finally arrived, you would have room for it. Room in your faith, room in your understanding, room in the interior of your soul. The desert is not a place of punishment. In the Bible, the desert is consistently a place of preparation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he led a nation. Jesus was driven into the desert by the Spirit Himself before He began His ministry. The desert is where God does His most intimate, most transformative, most consequential work, not in front of crowds, not in celebrated seasons, but in the quiet, stark, stripped-down places where there is nothing left to distract you from the work He is doing within you. Think of Ruth. She walked through loss that should have destroyed her. She watched her future collapse in the form of a husband's death, a foreign land, an uncertain road. And yet, she kept walking. She clung to Naomi not because it was convenient, but because something inside her recognized divine alignment even in the middle of devastation. And it was in that posture, humble, faithful, willing to glean in fields that were not yet hers, that Boaz noticed her. Not because she was performing, not because she was advertising herself, but because her character, her spirit, her covenant nature made her visible to the right eyes at the right time. What strikes me most deeply about Ruth's story is not the happy ending, it is the middle. It is the part between the loss and the redemption. It is the part where she is working in a field that belongs to someone else, gathering grain left behind for the poor, doing what is humble and necessary with her whole heart, never knowing that the owner of the field is watching her, never knowing that this very field, this very posture, this very season of gleaning is the location where her destiny is being revealed. She was not on a stage. She was not in a palace. She was in a field, covered in dust, doing the unglamorous work of survival with faithfulness and dignity. And that is what caught the attention of a man of God. That is your story right now. You have been gleaning. You have been faithful in fields that felt too small for you. You have shown up when no one was watching, served when no one was clapping, and believed when the evidence was nowhere in sight. And what most people don't realize is that this posture, this hidden faithfulness, is precisely what makes you visible to a person sent by God. Because a person heaven sends does not find you when you are performing. They find you when you are walking in your truest, most unguarded self. The world teaches you to present your highlight reel, to curate your image, polish your profile, lead with your accomplishments, hide your vulnerabilities. And while wisdom about what you share and with whom is absolutely real, there is something the world's strategy cannot give you, and that is authentic recognition. The person God sends will not be captivated by your highlight reel. They will be captivated by your spirit. They will see something in your eyes that the algorithm cannot manufacture and the filter cannot produce. They will recognize in you something they have been searching for without knowing its name. And when that moment comes, it will not feel like a sales pitch landing well. It will feel like coming home. But here's where it goes deeper, and this is the part that requires honesty. Many of you have been faithful in your spirit but closed in your heart. The wounds that came from the wrong ones taught you to build walls so sophisticated they almost look like wisdom. You call it standards. You call it discernment. And while boundaries are holy and necessary, there is a version of self-protection that has crossed the line into self-imprisonment. You have been waiting for God to send someone while simultaneously constructing a fortress that makes it nearly impossible for anyone to get close enough to stay. And what's coming next, the next layer of this, will show you exactly how to tell the difference between a healthy boundary and a hidden fear dressed in spiritual language. Because the enemy is not always loud. He does not always come with obvious destruction. Sometimes he comes as a whisper that says you've been hurt enough, protect yourself at all costs. And you agree with that whisper not because you are weak, but because the pain was real, the betrayal was real, the abandonment was real, the person who said forever and then walked away, that was real. And the part of you that decided never again was not foolish. It was trying to survive. But survival mode and covenant readiness are two entirely different spiritual climates. You cannot live in a bunker and simultaneously be available for divine partnership. You cannot keep every door sealed and wonder why no one is allowed inside. The agreement, over time, becomes a vow. And a vow made in pain becomes a wall that even a God-sent person cannot scale unless you deliberately dismantle it from the inside. This is not about throwing caution to the wind. This is not about ignoring red flags or lowering your God-given discernment. This is about something far more surgical. It is about identifying the specific places where fear has dressed itself in the language of wisdom and asking God to show you the difference. Because He will. He is faithful to reveal it. And when He does, the bravest thing you can do is not to argue with what He shows you. The bravest thing is to agree with Him, even when it frightens you, and say, God, I am willing to open what I closed. I am willing to trust you with what hurt me last time. I am willing to be vulnerable again, not because vulnerability is easy, but because the covenant you have for me requires it. This is where the real turning point lives. Not in finding her, not in her finding you, but in you becoming someone who is actually available to be found. David understood this. Before he could be the king who built the kingdom, he had to be the shepherd who sat alone with God in the fields. In that solitude, God was not punishing him. He was building in David an interior life so rich, so deep, so anchored that when the crown came, it would not corrupt him, because he had already learned who he was when no one was celebrating him. Those long hours in the fields of Bethlehem, watching the sheep, composing psalms that only God could hear, learning the voice of the Spirit in the silence that was not wasted time. That was formation time. That was the time when the most important work of David's life was happening, and it was happening invisibly. And the woman heaven is sending to you needs the same thing from you, not perfection, not performance. She needs to encounter a man who knows himself, who has sat long enough with his own soul that he is no longer at war with it. A man who is at war with himself cannot build peace with anyone else. A man who has never dealt with his own inner fractures will inevitably transfer those fractures to every relationship he enters. The unexamined wound becomes the unintentional weapon. The unconfessed fear becomes the invisible wall. The unhealed grief becomes the unspoken distance. And God, in His mercy, is not trying to expose those things to humiliate you. He is bringing them to light, because light is the only thing that heals what darkness has kept hidden. He wants you free, not just forgiven, but free. Not just saved, but whole. Because the covenant He designed for you requires a whole man, not a perfect one, but a whole one, a man who has looked at his own brokenness and handed it to God and said, "I cannot carry this anymore. Take it, make something from it that I cannot make myself." Coming up, the hidden agreement you made years ago that has been quietly determining who you let close and who you push away. Stay with me, because this is the part that breaks the cycle. The truth is, most people's love patterns were written for them before they were old enough to understand what was happening. You did not choose your first blueprint for relationship. It was handed to you through what you watched, what you survived, what was modeled, and sometimes what was done to you. The boy who watched his father leave internalized a message that love abandons. The child who was only celebrated when he performed learned that love must be earned. The young man who was never told he was enough quietly decided that closeness was danger. The teenager who watched two people who once loved each other destroy each other decided that love is just pain waiting to happen. And these were not conscious decisions. They were survival conclusions, the kind of logic that a young mind constructs in the dark in order to make sense of something that never should have happened. And now that young man is grown, standing in a church or scrolling through his phone, wondering why he keeps attracting the same cycles, never realizing that the cycle is not coming from outside of him. It is being broadcast from an old agreement he does not even know he made. It is like a radio tower that he built in childhood, transmitting a signal on a frequency he cannot hear, but that certain people can detect perfectly. And the people who are most drawn to that signal are often the people who match its wound, because familiar feels like safe, even when it is dangerous, even when it is repeating the same story that already broke you once. Until you name that agreement, you cannot break it. Naming it is the beginning of authority over it. When you can look at the pattern and say, "I see you. I know where you came from. I know what you cost me, and I am choosing something different now," that is the moment the cycle begins to lose its power. That is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own story and start being the author. And God will not override your will. He will not forcibly remove what you are not yet willing to let go. But He is here, right now, offering you the grace to let it go. He is here saying, "You have carried this long enough. Put it down. It was never yours to carry in the first place." And this leads us to something most people miss entirely. The woman God sends will not complete you. Let that land for a moment, because the culture has lied to you about this in ways both subtle and profound. From the movies to the music to the social media posts that make it look like the right relationship is the solution to every unsolved problem in your soul. The lie is pervasive and it is poisonous, because when you enter a covenant expecting the other person to complete you, you have placed on them a burden they were never designed to carry. You have made them responsible for something only God can do. And, inevitably, when they fail to fill the God-shaped void, and they will, because they are human, because they are finite, because they are carrying their own weight, you will interpret their limitation as betrayal. You will feel let down by something they were never equipped to provide. She will not fill the void. She will not heal the wound. She will not be the answer to every prayer you have ever prayed about yourself. What she will do, what she is designed to do, is stand beside a man who has done his own work and call forth from him what God placed inside him that he could not access alone. There are dimensions of your calling that will only be unlocked in the context of covenant. There are layers of your identity that can only be revealed in relationship with someone who was specifically designed to see them. She is not your savior. She is your companion in purpose. She is not coming to fix you. She is coming to co-create with you. And that distinction changes everything, because co-creation requires two people who are both bringing something. It requires two people who have both shown up, not fully finished, but genuinely present, genuinely working, genuinely submitted to the process that God has them in. Jacob wrestled with the angel. He did not tap out. He held on through the night, through the pain, through the moment when his very body was broken in the process. There is something profound about the fact that Jacob's blessing came at the cost of his mobility. He would walk differently for the rest of his life. Every step he took after that night was a reminder of the night God broke him open and poured something new in. And when morning came, when the breakthrough finally arrived, it came not with Jacob in the same condition he started in. His name was changed. His walk was changed. He was marked by the encounter. Israel, a prince with God, not despite the struggle, but because of it, not in spite of the wound, but through it. And that is what God has been doing in your seasons of delay. He has been wrestling something new out of you. He has been changing your name. The man you were when this season of waiting began is not the man you are right now. You have been broken in places and rebuilt in ways you may not even fully see yet. And the limp you carry, the tender place, the wound that never fully healed, that is not your shame. That is your testimony. That is the mark that tells the right woman she is not dealing with a man who has never suffered. She is dealing with a man who has suffered and still chose to trust God with his future. And that specific combination of wound and faith is one of the most powerful things a God-formed woman can encounter in a man. It does not drive her away, it draws her near, because she has been through her own fire and she recognizes the refiner's mark when she sees it. But let me challenge you with something, and I need you to sit with this rather than defend against it. There is a version of waiting on God that is actually faith. It is the faith of a man who has processed his pain, done his healing work, stood before God in honesty about his struggles, and genuinely trusts that the timing is in God's hands. That man is not passive. He is active in his growth, active in his purpose, active in his community and his calling, and he has released the outcome to God with open hands. That version of waiting is beautiful. That version of waiting is powerful. That version of waiting is what Jeremiah described when he wrote that God has plans for you, plans for a future and a hope. And there is another version of waiting on God that is avoidance, hiding behind Scripture. Some of you have been saying, "I'm waiting on God's timing," as a way of never having to be vulnerable again. You have sanctified your fear. You have put a Bible verse on your hesitation and called it patience. You have dressed your avoidance in the language of surrender, and God is calling that out right now, not to condemn you, but because He loves you too much to let you miss what He is sending, because you are too guarded to receive it. The distinction between these two versions of waiting lives in the honest answer to one question. When you imagine actually receiving what you have been praying for, when you imagine genuine intimacy, real vulnerability, the exposure that comes with truly being known by another person, does something in you feel peace, or does something in you recoil? Because if there is a recoiling, that is not caution. That is a wound masquerading as wisdom, and it deserves your attention before it costs you what you have been praying for. Real readiness is not the absence of fear. Real readiness is the decision to move forward, to open, to risk in spite of the fear. Because the woman coming toward you is also walking in faith. She has also been through things. She has wept in places you will never see. She has picked herself up from flaws you will never know about. She has learned to protect herself from people who were not safe, and she carries her own version of the wall. She is also praying. She is also believing. She is also trying to discern the right voice from the wrong one, the right season from the one that will hurt her again. And when two people who have both been wounded both decide to stay closed, The covenant that heaven designed never gets formed. The circuit stays incomplete. The blueprint stays folded. The destiny that required both of them never gets built. Someone has to move first. Someone has to lower the wall first. And if you are watching this right now, that someone is you. Here is what's coming next. And I need you to prepare your heart for this, because this final truth is the one that most people reject before it has a chance to set them free. The deepest reason you have been denied what you prayed for is not the enemy's attack. It is not your past. It is not even your patterns. It is something hidden far beneath all of those things. And once you see it, you will understand why everything in your life has led to this exact moment of clarity. You will understand why this message found you today. You will understand why something in you would not let you leave before the end. The real root of the denial has been your relationship with your own worthiness. Deep in the place where the most honest part of you lives beneath the faith, beneath the scripture, beneath the declarations and the prophetic words, there has been a quiet, persistent belief that you are not quite worthy of something that lasts. That real love, divine partnership, heaven-sent companionship, those things are for other people. People who haven't made your mistakes. People who didn't break the way you broke. People who didn't have your past, your failures, your secret struggles. People who didn't do what you did at your lowest. People who haven't needed as much grace as you have needed. And this belief is so quiet, so deeply embedded, that most people have never said it out loud. Most people have never even admitted it to themselves. But it shows up. It shows up as self-sabotage in relationships that were actually healthy. It shows up as an inability to receive kindness without suspicion. It shows up as pushing away the people who get close enough to actually see you, because deep down you are afraid that if they see everything, they will confirm what that quiet voice has always said, that you are not quite worth staying for. And so, even when the right person has come close, something inside you has found a reason to disqualify them or yourself, because receiving the fullness of what God offers requires believing that you are worth it. And that belief, that simple, sacred, world-altering belief, is the last wall. It is the inner wall that no one else can demolish for you. She cannot demolish it. A prophetic word cannot demolish it. Even the most anointed message can only bring you to the door of it. But only you, in a moment of raw honesty with your Creator, can walk through that door and say, God, I have not believed I was worth what you promised me. I receive the truth today. I receive it not because I have earned it, but because you declared it. And that is not pride. That is not arrogance. Believing you are worthy of God's best is simply agreeing with what He already declared. Before you were formed in the womb, He knew you. He called you. He set you apart. He looked at the full map of your life, the choices that honored Him and the ones that didn't, the seasons of faithfulness and the seasons of wandering, and He said, yes, still. He said yes to the covenant. He said yes to the partnership. He said yes to the life you have been too afraid to fully believe is actually for you. He called you chosen before you called yourself anything. He set you apart before you understood what that meant. He designed a helpmeet, a companion, a divine partner, and He did it for you, not despite who you are, but because of what He placed inside you that the world has not yet fully seen. There is something in you that the enemy has known about longer than you have. There is a glory in you, a capacity, a calling so significant that the adversary has spent considerable energy trying to convince you that you are ordinary, that you are too damaged, that your best years are behind you, that the people who got what you prayed for deserved it more than you. Every one of those whispers is a lie, and every one of those lies is evidence that what is in you is worth attacking. You do not wage war against an empty field. You wage war against territory that holds value. And the enemy has been at war with your sense of worthiness, precisely because a man who knows his worth, who walks in the full confidence of his identity in God, who receives what heaven sends without disqualifying it, that man is unstoppable. That man in covenant with the woman God designed for him becomes a force for the kingdom that the enemy cannot afford to let happen. The woman he is sending has been through her own fire. She has carried her own weight in seasons where the weight felt unbearable. She has prayed her own prayers in rooms where no one heard her but God. She has sat in her own silence and wondered whether she was forgotten, whether the promise was still true, whether she had somehow missed the window. And God held her. Through every doubt and every tear and every night that lasted too long, He held her. He refined her in fires she didn't choose. He stripped away from her everything that was not covenant. He rebuilt in her a capacity to love that is not naive. It is seasoned. It is battle-tested. It is real. He sent her through what she needed to survive, to arrive in your life carrying exactly what you need, not what you want, but what you need to fulfill, what you were both created to build together. There is a building that has your name on it that cannot be completed without her. There is a work, a legacy, a generational impact that requires the specific combination of what lives in you and what lives in her. Heaven has been holding that blueprint, and it is time for the ground to be broken. It is time for the building to begin. But none of that can happen until you settle once and for all the question of whether you are worthy to receive it. And you are. Not because you are perfect, not because you have it all together, but because God said so. And what God declares. No failure of yours, no wound in your past, no lie of the enemy, and no season of delay can revoke. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release every agreement I made in pain. I release the belief that I am too broken, too late, or too far gone for what God designed for me. I break every vow I made against vulnerability. I open my heart to divine alignment. I declare that the denial I have experienced is over, and what has been held in heaven's reserve is being released into my life now. I am ready. Not because I am perfect, but because I have been prepared. I will not disqualify what God has qualified. I will not reject what heaven has sent. I step forward into covenant. I step forward into purpose. I step forward into the fullness of everything I was told I would never have. I am the one who waited. I am the one who endured. And I am the one who receives. Let those words settle into the deepest part of you. Let them reach beneath the surface of your Sunday morning faith and your public declarations and go all the way down into the private room where you have been keeping the doubt. Let them speak to the version of you that stopped believing before the miracle arrived. Let them land like water on ground that has been dry for longer than you want to admit. Because declaration in the Spirit is not just wishful thinking, it is alignment. It is the moment your voice catches up to what God has already determined. It is the moment you stop arguing with His verdict and start agreeing with it. And when you agree with God about yourself, everything shifts. The atmosphere shifts. The patterns shift. The way you carry yourself shifts. And that shift, that quiet, internal, sacred shift, is what makes you visible to what heaven is already moving in your direction. If this message confirmed what your spirit has already been carrying, share it with someone who needs to hear it tonight. And drop the word "ready" in the comments, not for me, but as a declaration to yourself that you are no longer standing outside the door of what God prepared for you. You are walking through it.